I'm sure you know the story of Joe Magarac. He never called a day off sick, sometimes worked 24 hours. He used to dip his fingers in the molten steel and taste it to make sure the steel was ready. Magarac, apparently in Hungarian, means jackass. Interestingly enough, we actually might have some people in our presence tonight who once worked in a steel mill. Am I correct? Do we have people here who remember? Dan, did you work in a steel mill? My mother grew up in a steel family. Her mother worked in the steel mill. She was a crane operator in World War II, and her father worked in a steel mill. He actually fell in front of a train and got his leg cut off. So she hated steel mills and steel workers. All I can remember is my grandfather walking funny and telling all the kids in the neighborhood, my grandfather has a wooden leg. And they'd all want to run over and, he does not have a wooden leg. So come on, we'd knock on his leg. And see, I told you. Did you see that movie, I think it was called Memento, where somebody was suffering from memory loss? Like each scene was a flashback, so they basically told the story backwards. Well, everybody in Western Pennsylvania has memory loss. So this story is going to be told backwards as well. The last line of the song, because I like to skip to the end of a story to make sure it's worth getting to, the last line of the song is, did I ever tell you about Joe Magarac? 40 years across the desert, never knowing our next meal. For 40 years of labor underneath the Pharaoh's heel. My dad was gone before I woke. My mom's just getting home. I thought I had a clean shirt. Damn, I'm late. I've gotta go. And I don't feel like I slept. 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 Once I had a story for each scar upon my hands. I could bore you with the details, but you'd never understand. Bait the lure with the dollar bills. Into the trap we stepped. Let me know on payday if the covenant was kept. And I don't feel like I slept. I don't feel like I slept. I don't feel like I slept. I don't feel like I slept.
Before that gets a little crazy, big shout out to everybody listening in. Tune in to QSJRadio.com. Home of the unsigned artists. I got Robert Wagner from the Little Wretches with me. And that was my own version of going backwards. Because I know you were like, what is he doing? But I did want to get that intro out there because it really means a lot and how I dissected my own version of how this album is. If you guys didn't know, Robert and the crew of the Little Wretches, which they already have a big history, chart topping, in iTunes. They just released an album this July 1st. It's a live acoustic album. And they did it live at the Mattress Factory. And the songs from the land of pit bulls and poker machines. Can you tell me a little bit about this album? And
well, you're asking about the title of the album?
well, just
Because if you've ever the world I grew up in, Western Pennsylvania, it really doesn't exist anymore. It's changed so much. Most people, when they think of Pittsburgh, they think of the Pittsburgh Steelers or something like that.
That's not why I'm wearing yellow. That's not what.
Because you got the matching colors. I'm wearing Cowboys blue.
Oh my God! Get off my show already. No, let me stop.
But my family, my mother's side of the family, came to the United States.
Okay.
To seek opportunity and to be entrepreneurs and make something of themselves, but they ended up, working in the steel industry, and that's pretty much what Pittsburgh was. It was like a magnet for people all around the world who wanted to work. And even my dad, who grew up in a kind of a legendary community called the Hill District. If you ever saw the old show Hill Street Blues,
yep.
Hill Street Blues was written about the Hill District, so it was a very, very vibrant community. But my dad was said to have a Mississippi accent because all the people in his neighborhood moved to Pittsburgh from Mississippi.
Oh.
So we're a real, I'm a real Pittsburgher, but there hasn't been steel in Pittsburgh, real steel. It used to be you go up and down the rivers and that's all there was steel. It would be, and they were like huge, like the Great Pyramids. I've never been to Egypt. I've never seen the Great Pyramids. But I can only imagine they these huge, magnificent things. And then they all rusted and went away. So when I don't want to digress too much.
No, it's okay.
At one point in my musical career, I had to stoop to take a day job.
Okay.
And I was working for Carnegie Museums, and Carnegie Museums, pretty prestigious organization. And my grandmother mentioned that she believed she was the first female crane operator in the history of United States Steel. So using my Carnegie Museum's identification, I called down to United States Steel and asked if I could go through their archives to see if I could find any evidence that indeed my grandmother was the first female crane operator. And I was chatting to somebody down there, and he told me that he knew the steel industry was done, I think in 1968, because he was in the accounting department.
Okay.
And he saw that they did not allocate any money for renovations in the steel mills. It's like, if you're not renovating, then what does that mean? That means, as far as you're concerned, we're going to play out the string and then it's done. So at some point in the mid 70s, the steel industry it would be like somebody turned off the faucet. And then the Steelers Nation is everywhere because everybody in Pittsburgh moved. I think 2/3 of the population had to leave because there were no jobs, and the people who stayed were either too sick to leave, too crazy to leave, too stubborn to leave. So if you could imagine, none of the municipalities have any money. So where there used to be a paved road, the asphalt's come up, and underneath there's the bricks, and there's grass growing up through the bricks, and there's some kid in a t-shirt, a strapless t-shirt, walking down the street, talking on a cell phone, smoking a cigarette, pushing a baby stroller because he's got to run to the corner store to pick up some Pampers for his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's in the front yard fighting with the neighbor.
The urban community.
Yes. I mean, you never seen. Everybody has a pit bull because there's status associated with it, and they can protect your house. And the poker machines thing is, a lot of bars that used to make money off of working men who'd come in when they're done have a shot and a beer. You got to have like amusements to generate some money. So all the bars have poker machines, and then it turns out, even though they're illegal, the poker machines are run by the police. Now, I'm not gonna rat it out, but it's well known that some of the communities around Pittsburgh, like the local mayors and the local chief of police, they all own all those poker machines.
Wow.
And people in there spending their paychecks trying to hit it rich. So that's why it's called Pit Bulls and Poker Machines. The songs from the land of Pit Bulls and Poker Machines.
So if you guys didn't get all that, it's all good. This is going to be available for podcast later on. And the thing is, Little Wretches dropped an album live at the Mattress Factory. An amazing thing. You've been doing this a long time. Now, I'm a little confused. There's so many stories of how Little Wretches started, but I got to go back when you were at college. And one of your late friends, which, I think to me, what I'm gathering is that was the musician that put you on to everything and you went for it.
Oh, man. Well, I was really into music before this, but I just didn't think it was realistic. To play in a band, you have to be able to get along with people. And, I hated everybody and everything.
Yes,
so
in
no way I'm going to be able to play in a band. And I can't sing that well. I can't play that well. I didn't think I could anyhow. And I didn't know it. I was into like radical politics and stuff. I was like one of those campus radicals. And my roommate, whose name was John Creighton, that's how he and I met. And it wasn't until we were already roommates that I found out that he was a musician. And me and some of our other friends, we went to hear him play. It's like, this guy's incredible. And then, people who know me know that I'm a cancer survivor. I had a summer job when I was in college delivering pizzas. And every time I got out of the car, I felt like somebody was punching me in the stomach. Like, this doesn't feel right. And then I found this little lump on a Friday. Wow. And by Monday, it had tripled in size. It's like, this is not the way things are supposed to be. So, somebody else said, well, you should go to the emergency room. Next thing I know, I'm being looked at by medical students. And this is back before the days of cell phones. I'm trying to call people, say, hey, I'm in the hospital. Nobody was around to answer the phone. I was in surgery 24 hours later, and nobody even knew I was in the hospital.
Wow.
And I had, just by, the grace of God, the oncologists, the cancer doctors that I got were on the cutting edge of the research. They were just really young, sharp guys. And the type of cancer that I had, this is like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, would have been considered fatal at the time. It was a death sentence. But these guys were like, oh, no, we know this new treatment. It's like 90% effective. It's going to work. And it did. But, not knowing, if I was going to make it or not, one night, me and my buddy, my roommate, we were at a place called the Squirrel Hill Cafe. And we just looked at each other and said, got to start a band. And he was, he was a great singer. So he'd be the singer. I'd be the writer. I'd play the guitar and he'd do his thing. And just so happened punk rock was starting.
Yeah.
And, most people, when you think of punk rock, you think of the styles, but really, it was like early hip hop.
Yes.
It was not just one thing. It was a million things. All you had to do is bring something to the party. You're bringing something to the table. If you have the nerve to get up on stage, get up on stage. And so that gave me a couple of years to figure out what I was good at. And when I figured out, I'm a good songwriter. I kind of have to sing my own songs. My big thing that I try to convey to people is I'm really a teacher. I teach through stories. I tell stories through songs. And I created the Little Wretches because my music doesn't make any sense anywhere. We don't fit into anybody's box.
True story.
So,
I tell you that.
So I gotta, I started this band with my little brother, and John Creighton helped out as well in the early versions of the band. But I started it so that, my songs would have a context so I could do what it is that I've always wanted to do. And I've never stopped. Yeah, their bands had some high points and low points, but I've always kept it afloat.
And we're talking a little ways away. If you guys didn't know, the start of punk rock was very, very late 70s into the 80s. You guys released a single, and I think those days were kind of like cassettes, maybe a track. The CD, I think, was not an invention yet. Like, how were you getting your songs out there?
Yet.
How are you getting your songs out?
Well, in some ways, it was easier to be an independent artist back then. I mean, it's always expensive, right? Rich kids always have the advantage because mommy and daddy will pay for it, and you can live in their basement. We were working kids. We didn't have anybody going to give us anything, but we found out that here's a studio that we could go to. A couple of guys in the band knew how to get microphones. We actually set up our drummer's grandmother had died or something. So in her abandoned house, in her empty house that was for sale, that was our recording studio.
Where's the video? Up. Oh my God. Those are like classic pics now. That's like, okay, go ahead. I'm just thinking about this.
But we recorded it, and then found a manufacturer that makes, vinyl 45. Yeah. So we made the 45. And literally back then, you could go into like one of the big radio stations in Pittsburgh, like the NPR type station in Pittsburgh is called WYEP.
Yeah.
You could basically go into YEP. The door would be unlocked. You could walk in, hand your 45, your 45 RPM record to the guy who was, the DJ, and he would play it on the spot. Things were that open. And, if you booked a gig out of town, well, these guys have a record. They obviously, whether I like it or not, they're serious about what they're doing. Oh, they're booking gigs out of town. They're serious about what they're doing. So, you were treated with respect. Making a record puts you in the next league. Booking gigs out of town puts you in the next league. As time went on, technology, people anywhere in the world right now can get my music, but any 12-year-old with a laptop can make a record that sounds like a Grammy Award winner.
Yeah, right.
So there's just so much more stuff out there to compete with. But the good news is anybody seek and ye shall find. Anybody who's looking, sooner or later, we're out there. They're going to find us.
If you guys didn't know, we're talking to Robert Wagner from the Little Wretches, and we're talking history, because the thing is like, it doesn't stop. The grind doesn't stop. The search for someone to take us serious, take a musician serious, does not stop. We're also talking and discussing the live acoustic album that dropped just about 12 to 13 days ago. I've been listening to it every day. There's songs in here, and one of them, I'm going to get back to my own little, I love the way it's set up in concert mode. That's what I believed. I felt like I was listening to a whole concert. So many stories. And then all of a sudden, I hear Mother of Three.
Oh, my.
Okay, so the Mother of Three thing, just off of the title and how direct you are with your writing, I already knew it was going to be a deep story. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take a break, but my breaks are usually right to the music. I'm going to go ahead into Mother of Three right here, starting from the intro. This is off the Little Wretches new album. I'm gonna post it on the link for those who are watching live. The remains of Joe Mac. Well, that's the wrong song.
Yeah.
My sister came to hear us on Mother's Day, and she was saying that she remembers more about my life growing up than she does about her own, because I was clearly my mother's favorite, and the whole world revolved around me. And my poor sister got nothing but a hard time ever. And she had her first baby when she was young, and her entire life has been spent taking care of other people. And sometimes she looks at me and she tells me how lucky I am, because I get to go all over the place and play my guitar and you know, I know all these interesting people and I do all these interesting things, and all she does is change diapers. But this is literally almost like I should give my sister royalties for this, because half the lines in this song are straight from her mouth. It was plain enough to see that there was trouble, but everybody told us it's a natural phase. I was already carrying our first child. I could see what was headed our way. Our friends, our preachers, our parents too. Well, I'm not gonna say they didn't care. They said that's life. You'll learn, you'll see. I think I've seen more than my share. I never was a wide-eyed girl as a kid. I saw every possibility through. But there was so much I couldn't anticipate, and once it happens, it's hard to undo. They tell me I'm young, I should grow up and get real. The world does not revolve around me. Why is everybody so easily pleased? Or maybe the problem is me. A mother of three, what have I done? I look at myself and wonder what I've become. Nothing in life is what I hoped it would be. Look at me now, I'm a mother of three. That husband of mine is not a bad man. He does his best, I mean, it's not his fault. It's not like I found anyone better, and any other woman worth half a salt would know how lucky I am to have all this. I've never been deprived. Is it too much to ask to want to know how it feels to be loved, to be alive? Mother of three, what have I done? I look at myself and wonder what I've become. Nothing in life is what I hoped it would be. Look at me now, I'm a mother of three. Now my oldest is selling candy for school. My youngest is still learning to crawl. And the one in the middle never cries or complains. She's the most like me of them all. But when's it ever gonna be my turn? Never, my turn was not meant to be. I don't need another reminder that the world does not revolve around me. Mother of three, what have I done? I look at myself and wonder what I've become. Nothing in life is what I hoped it would be. Look at me now, a mother of three. Mother of three, what have I done? I look at myself and wonder what I've become. Nothing in life is what I hoped it would be. Look at me now, I'm a mother of three.
Oh my gosh, I love that song. I gotta do the DJ thing. So I got a friend of mine in Canada, and he says I can jam to this for hours. He's he's somewhere out there in Canada.
Yeah, me too. I can too.
Very, very, very lovely song. I kind of felt so many influences there. But being a brother and writing about your sister is, I think people don't understand. It's almost kind of like your first love, like, you know, the protection that you have for your sibling and things like that. Sorry to the only kids out there watching, but it's something about that brother and sister love that's, you know, it could be really crazy or it could be really close. What was it that made you write about your sister?
Oh man, well, this particular batch of songs, you know, I was saying before we came on the air that you know, most of my recordings are with a big, you know, rocking band, but most of my actual performances are acoustic. You know, me singing and playing harmonica, and sometimes a guitar player, sometimes a violin player. So I wanted to write songs that would make more sense. You know, when you're playing in a loud place with a lot of background music, you know, people aren't really hanging on every word. But when you're playing in a solo, intimate setting like that, and people are really listening, you can really, you know, you can hit them with the truth. And so when I started writing that kind of music, you know, it's like, okay, I'm going to go back to the basics here. Honor thy mother and father, you know, writing songs about my grandparents, my parents, my friends and family, you know, the people around me. I have some great songs about my dad, great songs about my brother. You know, that's, you know, people have always been telling me, regardless of what we sounded like, you know, we started out in the punk rock world, but we're basically a folk group. You know, we're telling the story of our people. I'm telling the story of my people, using whatever tools I have at my disposal. I'm taking what I've learned and trying to pass it on to somebody else. And my sister, there's probably the most famous playwright from Pittsburgh is August Wilson. You know, people can see, I think right now, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is on Netflix. Fences came out a couple of years ago, directed by Denzel Washington. August Wilson, you know, really powerful writer from Pittsburgh whose history is a little similar to mine. At a certain point, he stopped going to school. He had an incident at school, you know, snap, maybe hit a kid, and then just never went back. He'd get up and leave the house in the morning like he was going to school.
Yeah.
And then go to the library or go to the park, and, you know, he always had his little notebook, and he was always writing and giving voice to his people, his community. And that's a lot of what I've done is I've taken, you know, I hear people, sometimes I feel like it's not my story to tell, but if I don't tell it, who will? You know, my sister's never going to write it down. My sister's never going to write a song. When I heard her say, you know, the world doesn't revolve around me, like, man, well, for your kids, it sure does, though.
Yeah.
You know, and she would look at me and be jealous of me. Like, you've brought life into this world, you know. You are doing the hardest, most important job. But raising your kids, there is no job more important than that. What I'm doing is like an amusement, you know. I'm not jing, jing, jing. Come on. You know, there's nothing more important than raising your family and taking care of your loved ones. And I'm jealous of her, you know. That's the real truth. So why did I do it? I just love my sister, and I'm sure a lot of people are in her boat, you know.
And you know what? That made me even want to go and talk to my sister. You know, I had one of those little millennial arguments with her where she chose her friends over family, and I was like, you know what? Let me go say hi.
Okay, can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I love your stories.
Yeah, when I was in college, when I was a freshman, there was a guy who was a senior. I was in this special program, that I was, again, by the grace of God, I was in this special program where you worked at your own pace, you studied whatever you wanted to study. And people like me who were into writing, we got a lot of encouragement. So I'm a freshman, and a kid who's a senior is having his first book of poetry come out. So obviously I idolize him because someday I'm going to have a book of poetry come out. And, years later, I bump into him on the street, and I ask him how he's doing, and he's telling me about his kids. And I think, man, I don't, look, I'm glad you have kids, but I'm interested in your writing. You're like the first real poet that I've ever known. Come on, tell me. So I said to him, oh, well, that's good. Well, tell me about your work. And he said, well, what I've come to understand is that raising my kids is my work. And like, oh, dang.
Wow.
Eye opener. And I try to, remind that to people along the way. That's your job in life. Oh, I wish I was an artist. I wish I was doing so. And your biggest impact will be through your children, so love them, care for them. And guys that abandon their kids, because I also work with at-risk kids.
Wow.
Ooh, that's
touchy.
I say one common thread for the kids that I work with is that their dads didn't stick around and deliver for them. So, men, women, do not lay down with men who will abandon you. Men, take care of your children, take care of your women.
True
the
story.
world it's not too late. You can do it.
True story. Rob, have you raised a family?
No. Well, one of the, this is getting a little on the personal side here, but one of the consequences of having cancer when I did,
oh man,
is I haven't been able to father children as a result of the surgery that I had. There's, I don't want to get into the whole biology of it, but basically
that made you sterile.
yeah, and they told me about it too. As before the surgery, the big surgery, we're like, they basically they put dye in your system, so it turns out, because the cancer travels through your lymph system, so they put dye. I had to sit there for hours while they dripped dye into my toes, and then they cut me open from like chest to groin and took out all my guts and picked out all the little blue dots and then tested each one to see if it was cancerous. And they told me that in the process of this, they're going to cut the nerves that tell my where my brain tells my parts to produce, sperm. So it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to father a child. And, when I'm 19 years old, it's like, I'll choose to live, thank you very much. And say, but it's one, we have to tell you. And two, you might feel differently when you get older. And like, well, I'm still glad I'm alive. And then, I don't have kids of my own, but I put a lot of time and effort into teaching and counseling and working with kids. And, my dad grew up without. I think I inherited some of this from my own father. My father, I think his dad died when he was 9 or maybe when he was 5, but he grew up without his father. And my dad was always, if there was a kid in the neighborhood who didn't have a father, my dad kind of took him under his wing. My dad was great with kids, and I think I picked that up with him. I get along better with kids than I do with adults.
Yeah, we all kind of do that. Big shout out to everybody. And sorry to hear that. Sorry if I got too personal. But
no, it's not too personal. It's just kind of because everybody wants to know. Especially the kids I work with is, why don't you have any kids? Well. It's a long story.
Wow.
because I'm from an older generation. I'm a little bit insensitive. I know what I would think. There's a middle-aged man that doesn't have kids. He's probably gay. And it's like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but no, man, I'm not gay. I have, I've been married, and having children has just not been part of my life story. Wasn't in the cards for me.
But you taking care of a lot of kids. That's something that a lot of people can't do, and we appreciate you that. And I say we because I know that there's so many children out there that would have loved an uncle or a Robert around. So, and we appreciate that. Just let you guys know. You guys know how I do it, all right? I got to get into these conversations. I'm sorry. Robert is over here taking over my show today. The Little Wretches just dropped an album. Make sure you guys are downloading that right now. It's on Spotify. You guys did do something magical on iTunes, which was iTunes new for you when you put albums out on there, and you guys kind of topped the charts over there.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I'm not sure how we ended up. I think I've had now 2 songs be number 1 on the folk rock charts.
Nice
in the country of
nice.
South Africa. But whatever the case, I don't even know how it works. Back when we were, the technology was changing. When we started out, it was cassettes and vinyl LPs. And then we had to, make a decision. Are we going to, because all the money we're making, we're reinvesting into the band. Are we going to make vinyl LPs or are we going to make CDs? Okay, so now we're doing CDs. And as soon as, the streaming and downloading came into the picture, put CDs out, kids will look at me and say, they'll look at my music collection. And I'm like, you paid for that. You can get that for free. Like, look, I'm a collector. Thank you very much. And my collection is a reflection of me. Yeah. And by purchasing the music, I am supporting the artist. By streaming the music, you are stealing from the artist, but that's the way it works. You're not really stealing anymore. But you don't make, I don't make much off of a stream, but I make a little bit off of a download. I make about 80% of, if somebody spends 99 cents to download a song, I'll probably make 75 cents there, so I'll take 75 cents over a fraction of a penny that I get from a stream. But now everything's in the, we're in the game. We somehow people on the other side of the world can find us. We're a click away for anybody on the planet.
And that is magical. Because I started viewing some of the content. If you guys didn't know, you guys can go to littlewretches.com. And they got all their information there. If you guys want to post anything that they post on there. Poland, people from Africa, Asia.
Yeah. Oh man,
this is getting
in the days,
crazy.
In CDs, like we had, we're an independent record label, so we're finding who can we send stuff to, and you'll see there was a kid in Hungary who was making a hand-typed fanzine, not even with a computer, with an old-fashioned typewriter. And, he sends us copies of the magazine in the mail. Like, anybody speak Hungarian? It looks like a good review. I wonder what I see it says Lennon and McCartney, so he's probably comparing us to the Beatles.
Okay. Yes.
But that's like we have a review in Greek. One of our old drummers is of Greek heritage, so his father translated that for us. But it's really cool.
That's really special.
And Japan. There's a kid from Japan who, like, every couple of years he writes me again just in case I forgot. He's trying to get the original sleeve, the record cover for the first vinyl 45 that we put out.
What?
And they just don't exist anymore.
You gotta get it
anymore. If I had one, I would give it to you. But I don't even have one. But I guess collectibles, if they have all the original artwork, they're a little more valuable.
Oh my! Big shout out to everybody listening. We're talking to Robert Wagner from the Little Wretches. Like I said, you guys can go to littlewretches.com. You can actually see their fan base and the loyalty that they have. It's like they're just standing by waiting for stuff. It's amazing to have that so long, from the 80s to now, the 2000s. The whole world looks like it's going backwards. I mean, we can get radical if you want, but have some of these recent events, especially with pandemic and of course, people are reading too much. Does that sound like fair? Like,
Well,
I think they're reading too
look,
much.
man, I think I'm a little bit of a religious person. They say all things work together for good ultimately. I saw a quote from Ben Carson talking about some of the political radicalism that exists right now. A battle's going to be fought that needs to be fought. Learning is going to take place. Progress is going to take place that otherwise might not have taken place. The pandemic, for me, was a little bit of a blessing because I had to, I'm at a crossroads here. It gave me the opportunity. The first thing I did with that first $600 stimulus check that I got from Donald Trump, and I sent some old recordings out to get mastered. Say, okay, I've been sitting on these records unreleased. Well, now they're going to be released. And okay, I can't tour, but neither can Garth Brooks. Nobody can tour, so it levels the playing field.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was a little bit of a blessing, a work to my advantage. And right now, you got to be careful. I don't know if you're old enough to remember the days of newspapers, daily newspapers.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I would read the newspaper every day, but I would read the sports, the comics, and the horoscope.
Yep.
And I would look at the headlines.
Yeah, just look at it.
Yeah, but the letters to the editor section were usually written by people with very passionate points of view. So there was tendency to be a little bit of extremism in the letters to the editor. But now with social media, anybody can spout their opinion off with no investment at all. Basically, I type my idea, I zoom it out there. So what we're seeing is just a bunch of loudmouths. In the data of my ordinary life, I see a lot of people getting along with each other, a lot of harmony, a lot of problem solving, a lot of love, a lot of humor, people really doing their best. And then I look at I look at the news and say, wait a second, the world that they're describing is not the world that I live in.
Yeah.
And I had somebody say to me once, are you going to believe me or are you going to believe your lying eyes? Like, well, I'm going to believe my lying eyes. Thank you very much. I know that things exist outside of my purview, but I think things are people get along way better than it appears that they do. And
it's so crazy. And not to cut you off, but I've been in the service for 21 years. I have been working with the farmer kid that didn't want to be a farmer when he grew up, the rich kid that didn't want to inherit everything that his dad had, the kid that came from another country. I've been doing this. It's just exactly what you're saying. I do not work or see the world that they see.
Yeah. Well, when I was in college, I mentioned that I was like one of the campus radicals,
Yes. And back in the day, you guys didn't like us.
Well, what I've come to, when I was a freshman, in college, one of the other freshmen was an older dude who was in a wheelchair. He was a veteran, and he would just kind of laugh at us and say, "You don't know. You've never been out of the country. Everybody wants what we have. They love us. They wish they lived here. But there's no convincing you. You'll find out for yourself." And in my lifetime, I've kind of gone to see, like, one of the things I ask people that differ with me is, don't tell me what you're against. Tell me what you're for. What do you want? And you'd find out then that narrows a lot of conflict. It's like, okay, what is it that you really want? Well, you wish that poor people had better lives. Well, I wish that poor people had better lives. You wish that sick people had access to medicine. Well, I wish that sick people had access to medicine. We want the same things. So all this division, let's face it, people make money off of clicks. Click. Every time somebody clicks on a story, ka-ching. So the social media is going to fan the flames of hostility. I just think that hostility is fake. I think the problems that we have are problems that we can solve. And if we're the luckiest people on earth, that we can, the things that we complain about, oh man, imagine if you were in Cuba right now. You wouldn't trade places with us in a second.
True story. Oh my gosh. I always try to say it, but then it's like I kind of like delete my messages that people are mad at the wrong things. We have so much in common, but it's like your division is and I'm not taking away, this is not Robert speaking, this is me. We have the same goals, just it's viewed differently in a way that doesn't make sense in both sides. And I don't even know what both sides are. We're all humans. We're all trying to survive. We're all trying to have a pizza on Mars. I don't get it. Like, I want a pizza on Mars. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, for me, that would be a one-way trip. So you can go to Mars, man. I'm going to stay here. I'll have my pizza down here on Earth. I'm not going to Mars unless I can come back.
Yeah, true story. Yeah, that too.
I'm a little too old.
I take order.
To Mars. Yeah.
Robert,
yeah, well, but that's the thing for the young people that are getting into activism now. I know for me, some of the skills that I acquired as a radical campus activist are skills that I employ now as an entertainer and as a writer. I learned how to do things. I learned how to solve problems. I learned how to do research. So all those kids that are involved in stuff now, it's like, oh, what's wrong with them? Well, nothing's wrong with them. That's where they are at this point in their lives. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. This will have been a great learning experience for them. And as long as nobody gets hurt, I'd encourage them, don't throw any Molotov cocktails. I do tell you that's a bad idea. But they're going to learn from it. And I think the struggle is going to make the country better. People are going to, because now you can't turn your head away. You got to solve the problem.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I went deep into the album, and I got up to All My Friends, and I kind of felt like that was a turnaround. Like you guys probably hear this like I'm hearing it, but we'll see. Little Wretches, All My Friends. We're gonna include the intro because, like I said, this is an acoustic album, the feel of a concert. You guys got to go ahead and download this. If it plays. No, I got it. Hold on. Big shout out to everybody listening. Tune in to QSJRadio.com, home of the unsigned artists, All My Friends. All right. Third time is a charm, I think.
Yeah, I almost have the intro memorized. So if you can't get it to work, I can do it.
Go ahead, intro.
All right. Well, I don't remember what the opening.
Hold on. I got it. Oh my gosh, are you playing me right now? I have the whole album. All right, maybe I gotta do something. But anyways, tell us about All My Friends.
Well, I could do a dissertation about every two lines of All of My Friends. I'm literally from what would be considered the other side of the tracks. I know how lucky I am and how well I have it. And I appreciate, like, man, you're in the service on 4th of July and Memorial Day and Veterans Day, when there's an event and everybody says, okay, I want all the veterans to stand up. Let's give these guys a round of applause. And people will look at me, you can't tell right now, but I'm reasonably physically fit. I have a little bit of like a military vibe to me. So people look at me,
Oh,
and a lot
he's
of
the
kids that I
morning
knew
jogger.
assume that I was in the military. I was like, no, man, I'm not. I'm a little bit ashamed to say that I've done nothing to deserve these freedoms that I have. Although I would like to say something worthy of freedom of speech, write something worthy of freedom of the press, know people worthy of freedom of association. And, somebody worked really hard and a lot of people sacrificed their lives so I could enjoy these freedoms. I'm going to take advantage of them and honor them. So that's, and I could go into way more detail for this song, but this song's just kind of fun.
And
It's
here
the
it
world
is,
of the Little Wretches.
The world of the Little Wretches. The morning jogger, Robert Wagner, in the building.
I'm a little bit more than a morning jogger.
Oh, okay, I see you. Send me a clip. Let me stop.
Everybody go down. One of our political candidates announced his running mate down in Market Square. I don't want to mention his name. Because Dave says that we should stand above the fray of politics, and I'm... Friedrich Nietzsche said that. Wasn't the fray of politics? He said to rise above the ephemeral babble of politics. The ephemeral babble, that's right. Yeah. Well, when he was down there, this candidate, he read a Langston Hughes poem. Did you happen to catch that? Now, I happen to know, being, a college guy, that Langston Hughes subscribed to an unusual political philosophy, which, again, we want to stay above the ephemeral babble of politics, so I'm not going to talk about his political philosophy, except for that my favorite Langston Hughes poem is called Good Morning Revolution. I'm lucky. I was born too late to be drafted, and I was old early enough to not have to fight in any of this Persian Gulf stuff, so I have never really done anything to earn the freedoms that we enjoy. But I would like to honor the people who have sacrificed for my freedom by perhaps someday saying something worthy of freedom of speech, writing something worthy of freedom of the press, knowing people worthy of freedom of association, and, making freedom at least worth having. All of my friends turned into fanatics with terrible secrets hidden up in their attics. Closets full of skeletons and old bones they only bring out to play with when nobody's home. All of my friends are on somebody's list of undesirables and anarchists. It's not even safe to admit that you're one of my friends. None of my friends know cause and effect. We're notably known for abuse and neglect. We're natural targets, we're perfect to blame. None of my friends ever runs out of shame. All of my friends are taking some kind of rap, but your biggest weapon is your handicap. Nothing much good ever happens to none of my friends. We're carving a niche between the dust and the ether. We're walking in circles, limping along. We're stuck in a ditch, but I'm a believer. I don't know much except right from wrong. Oh, what comedy. Oh, what torture. Oh, what stories we will tell. Someday, someday. None of my friends ever has to lose face. We're walking in beauty, we're walking in grace. We're marching like sheep to the slaughterhouse blade. We're the prize-winning herd at the Macy's parade. None of my friends ever made the first team. If you're going to hell, gotta go to extremes. Gently down the stream go none of my friends. A vanguard of vultures in rarefied air. We're the high priest of culture. We kneel down for a prayer for the lesbian couples and their turkey basters, and the amateur, the connoisseur, cyanide tasters. All of my friends, wind scattered and blown, never get too close to the foot of the throne, but they're the best people I've ever known. We're carving a niche between the dust and the ether, walking in circles, limping along. We're stuck in a ditch, but I'm a believer. I don't know much except right from wrong. Oh, what comedy. Oh, what torture. Oh, what stories we will tell someday, someday. Someday, someday. Someday, someday.
All of my friends, 20th song acoustic version on the Little Wretches' new album that has just dropped this July 1st. So remember, I was in the gym. And sometimes you got to get focused. And while I'm deep inside of you, in your head, I am not turning around. That intro to all of my friends identified that you identify yourself, as always, whatever your views were, and you stood authentic to that. Another thing is that I do respect the other view, but my view counts as well. And the thing is, as 2020 is the time where we have identified who the fuck our friends were, that really touched me in a way that I had to remember that sometimes the other side, regardless of the point of view, is targeted versus viewed as another person. And there was always this thing, even though the album is there, and I did some more research and of yours and your friends and your collaborations that you've done. The reason for the dark writing, for me, is because those are the stories that needed the light.
Wow. Thank you.
And I really loved it. Now, a lot of people don't get this, and I have to remind them again and again that my favorite genre is folk for a reason. It is the authenticity of this country. It is these stories that come from the porch that are remembered for many lifetimes. All of my friends, if you guys have stood here and actually listened, then you understand what I'm saying is there's another side to this story that people are always afraid to talk about. And you know what? I'll talk to you about it because I'm going to identify my friends the way that you identify my friends. So you can understand where I'm coming from. Am I crazy for thinking that about this song?
No. Well, like I said, there's a little story behind each little couplet of it. But you mentioned the thing about the light and the dark. The album that I'm working on right now, that I thought would be done by now, but is not done yet. One of like the keynote songs has a line. The poem was originally written by a woman named Annette Dietz, but the opening line is, "Some days the best I can do is clear a path for light." And it's like, man, that's a line that'll stick with you. The I know people, like, I told you, I work with kids, and you like juvenile delinquents will gravitate towards each other, and drug addicts will gravitate towards each other. Like, well, how does what's the source of that magnetism? Is you want to be around other people that understand you, where you don't always have to explain yourself.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why I get along with everybody is like, man, you don't if you're mad about something, you don't have to explain anything to me. Don't worry about explaining it to me. I'm with you. Just tell me what I can do to help. And if all I can do is just hang out and be with you, then I'll hang out and be with you.
Yeah.
But you don't have to explain yourself to me. Your reason's legit. And it's funny how people find a way. I mean,
to
people who
categorize
suffered so much worse than I have, who've had, and they found a way to deal with it and survive and flourish even. So that's my thing about all of my friends. There's a line in there about your biggest weapon is your handicap. I've known people who says, okay, you call this my weakness, well, watch me turn it into my strength. That's, I'm not going to be anybody's victim.
Yeah. Big shout out to everybody listening. Tune in to QSJRadio.com. I'm the unsigned artist, Robert Wagner from the Little Wretches. We're discussing the album that has just dropped. The link is in the chat for those who are waiting to hit that follow button in that stream. Live at the Mattress Factory, the Little Wretches, Songs of the Land of Pitbulls, and Poker Machines. Now, you can go to thelittlewretches.com and check out all their albums, all their art, all their... Oh my God, there's so much songs. You guys have been compared to so many legendary people, unforgettable legends. And to me, I'm just sitting here in the gym, like, looking tough. Talking about, did you guys hear that? And I got my headphones on. Did you guys hear that? He literally said that. You open up this album with Dark Times. I think that anybody right now that's living, and I say that because some of us are not here. When you open up with Dark Times, I said, this is exactly what I was ready to tell my grandchildren. This is exactly what I was. You don't know about the 2000s. Like, I was ready. I was trying to figure out how I was going to tell them. Is this Dark Times something to what is reflection of what's going on today?
Well, I have a couple of different stories about where that comes from, but there's actually a German poet named Bertolt Brecht. He's the guy who wrote Mac the Knife and a play called The Threepenny Opera. So it's actually a line from one of his poems that I based the song on. In the future, they won't ask why the times were dark. They'll ask why were their poets silent. And the subtext of it, though, is that in the future, things will be better. And they'll be looking back on us like, oh, man, those poor, pathetic people, how stupid they were. They didn't know how, So that's the unspoken part of it, is that it completely 100% believes that in the future things will be so much better that they'll look back on us like we're living in the dark ages.
We're going to take one more break real quick with that song, and then we're going to play a little game together. Big shout out to everybody listening. Little Wretches, Robert Wagner, Dark Times. The intro to the Songs from the Land, Pitbulls, and Poker Machines.
future they'll say these were dark times. Although in the future they'll say we were violent. Although in the future they'll say these were dark times. The leaders were deaf and their poets were silent. Although in the future they'll say these were dark times. When people with vision simply close their eyes. Although in the future they'll say these were dark times. Poets were silent unless they told lies. I'm talking to you, always flirting with danger. I'm talking to you, titillated by fear. I'm talking to you, always flirting with danger. You won't flirt with me, you're afraid to come near. I'm looking at you, a new wave of voyeurs, a massive glaucoma and lazy eye. I'm talking to you, always flirting with danger. I'm wasting my breath, sometimes I don't know why. I'm talking to you, but my words fall on deaf ears. Maybe it's my words that are deafening. I'm talking to you, cause I have to do something, and this, for the moment, is all I can do. These were dark times. These were dark times. These were dark times. Although in the future they'll say these were dark times. They'll be torn between pity and flat disbelief. They wonder how we could allow this to happen. The poets were silent and the truth was asleep.
Little Wretches, Dark Times. I loved it. As it started, I could only think about, these days. But right now we did find out that it was based off of a poet. And it's true. Some of them right now are even silent. Big shout out to everybody listening. Tune in to QSJRadio.com. Robert Wagner. We are about to go into our fast round.
We have now started our fast round, where our guests are asked a few questions about themselves that they wouldn't expect us to ask.
Don't worry, it's not like that.
Hope you didn't think we were that underground.
It's not that serious. I just love playing that. So, Robert, thank you so much for introducing your band to our audience. And I really do love the music. This is really good stuff. I hope to hear from you as things get somewhat back to normal. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna ask some funny questions, maybe like 20 of them. They're not too crazy. Do you have a boat?
I do not.
Okay, but
although where I live right along this creek. We have about 10 kayaks underneath our house, but none of them are mine.
What would you name your boat if you had one?
What I name my boat? The Unsinkable.
Okay.
Grab an oar.
What is the closest thing to real magic?
Oh dear. The closest thing to real magic is sun rising in the morning. It's the miracle of life. And I don't necessarily believe, I think magic's a figurative thing. I think the miracles that are all around us make magic look like child's play.
Who is the messiest person you know?
Ooh. Well, I can't name them, but I have a couple of kids that I work with that it's like that Charlie Brown cartoon, Pigpen. Wherever they go, they leave a little dust cloud.
Oh my God!
So I know a couple of kids like that.
What do you think will finally break the internet?
What will finally break the internet? Oh, now you're getting me into my sinister territory.
It's late. Let's go. Let me stop.
All right. Well, what's going to break the internet is that the powers that be are going to turn it off. In fact, I just heard. Now, this is probably not what you were hoping for, but I was just listening to some news today where could be false.
I think we're getting. I think
somebody
in
Cuba bought some technology from China, or got some technology from China that allowed them to turn off the internet for their protesters.
Yep.
And that's what's going to break the internet.
That's super sad, by the way. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah. What's the most useless talent that you have?
Oh man, I'm a know-it-all, Dave. I hate to admit it, and I have a couple of friends who will remind me of that. Like, man, I can remember things. I'm sorry. I know more useless things.
It's crazy that you say that, because the first thing that one of our listeners said was he has such a great memory, because one of the first comments we received today from Virginia from She Loves Tats on Twitch. That was really crazy. What would be on the gag reel of your life?
Oh, yikes. Well, I mean, I think it wouldn't necessarily be a gag. It would be fun. It would be me and my cousins at a birthday party standing up on a little hill with tennis rackets, pretending we were playing guitars, singing along with some, record that was playing. That would, I don't know if that'd be a gag reel or not. But.
No. Where's the worst smelling place you've been?
The worst smelling place I've been?
I try not to remember those.
Well, I remember when I was a kid, my uncle took us to a dairy farm. Oh. And the first time, I mean, I've learned to appreciate the smell. But man, my first time on a dairy farm, I thought I was going to throw up.
What celebrity would you rate as a perfect 10? And this is, I understand you have a big history, so it doesn't matter if it's
a celebrity that I would rate as a perfect 10.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my. Well, I like the actress Cate Blanchett.
Okay.
But she, I might want to rewind her, a decade or so, but
Oh my God, this guy. Rob be in the gym flexing like these little guys don't understand. I got him. Like be in the gym. Okay. What's a body part that you wouldn't mind losing?
A body part that I wouldn't mind losing? Man, I'm not giving up any of my body parts. I'll tell you what, you could have my earlobes, but you can't have my ears.
You get the lobes? You ever had them pierced? No?
No.
I don't even have any. Like, they just disappear.
I got no tattoos. I got so many scars, man. I don't need any piercings.
Yeah, you got no tattoos. I just heard that.
No tattoos, no piercings. Just, yeah.
Okay.
Every now and then I think, like, if I did, what would I get? Oh, come on.
Yeah. I got a big tattoo, but it's just like my kids' faces.
See that.
So sometimes they're fat and sometimes they're skinny. It's like because fluctuation. Which fictional character would be the most boring to meet in real life?
Fictional character that would be boring in real life? Oh. Oh man! See, you're here. You're doing radio, and I'm giving you dead air. That's no good.
Don't worry, we'll edit this later.
Fictional,
This is live.
See, all the fictional characters that immediately come to mind are like exciting characters. A boring fictional character.
Yeah, I don't.
Like if he was real in real life, the boring fictional character would be, I don't remember his name, but the owner of the baseball team in the movie The Natural. Have you ever seen the movie The Natural? Roy Hobbs, the guy who owns the baseball team. He sits there in the dark all day, and I think he'd be boring.
What is the best and worst purchases you've ever made?
I hate to do this to Martin Guitar.
Snap.
Yeah, I hate to do this to them, but I have a Martin D35 that is currently in the shop for like the fourth time.
Wow.
And even though they have a lifetime guarantee, and they honor that, but when they take it, they have it for 6 months to get, before they get the job done. And I know people who have Martin guitars that have never been in their cases. Have been taking a beating for 30 years, and they're better now than the day that they were bought. And here my guitar that's been babied and coddled, and every time you turn around, it's falling apart. So
wow,
maybe
I took that a little deeper than I should have.
But then again,
I took that so deeper. You see what you do to me? Like, I feel like you're writing.
Martin guitar, best thing I ever got, worst thing I ever got.
Nice. If you had to change your name, what would your name be?
Oh.
Because I know, listen, the first time I said I got Robert Wagner coming on the air, it always comes up. The actor? Like, what?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Doesn't that get annoying?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I throw that Andrew in there. I've been going by Robert Andrew Wagner.
Yes.
A lot. And I always throw in the Little Wretches, too, because that's another thing that confuses people is like, all my music is put out by the Little Wretches, but most of my performances are just me. So I'm always trying to remind people, I'm Robert Andrew Wagner of the Little Wretches. And if I had to change my name, there's this great Russian short story called The Seven That Were Hanged by a guy named Alexiev. And so I was thinking, or Andreev. So I'm thinking maybe since my middle name is Andrew, I might go with Robert Andreev would be mine.
The V at the end.
Robert
The
Andreev.
Russians are coming, people. All right. What is your biggest screw up in the kitchen?
Oh, man.
Don't say noodles.
Okay, well, I'm a musician, right? So there have been times when I've had nothing, where I would be living on $5 a week, where, I look back at all the kindness that was shown to me. But one time, I went to this Lebanese restaurant and they had dandelion greens. It's like, oh man, dandelion greens. You can eat them things? I got dandelions growing all over the place in my neighborhood. So I went out and picked dandelion greens from the yard, and I brought them inside and tried to cook them. And I'm telling you, they were not edible, but I don't throw out food. So I forced down these dandelion greens from the yard.
What?
And I must say, I'm a little ashamed of myself. Yeah. They were so tough and so bitter, and I added vinegar and I cooked them more. And I fried them. I did everything that nothing could save these dandelion greens.
Oh my God. I'm not trying that. Oh my God. What quote or saying do people spout but is complete BS?
Oh man, I thought you were going to ask me about one of my quotes. This completely. I hear people say, I don't know. It's not so much a quote. It's just like a figure of speech. A lot of times you'll hear people say, "It is what it is." I'm like, oh, well, that helps. It is what it is. Huh?
Yo, I hate that expression, saying, statement. People say don't use the word hate. I hate it. It is what it is as if you gave up.
Yeah.
Straight.
And I don't. I probably said it too because it's
so
habitual,
yeah. No.
So that's
I feel
not
that
much
one.
of a quote though. That's not much of a quote.
I feel that one though. If you could know the absolute and total truth to one question, what question would you ask?
Oh dear. Here we are. I'm right. You're making me thinking, and I'm trying
This
to
is why I
avoid
love
the
this.
dead.
This is why I
space
love this
here.
because it's like if I tell you, hey, so how long you been doing this music thing? You got to answer for it. If you got, it's like there's so many things you got answers for, but the questions.
Well, what I would if I had. No, man. See, it's getting way too deep. I'm getting all twisted. I'd like to know the truth of what happened to my father's father. It was just one of those things that was never talked about. I knew that my dad, his dad died when he was young, and they used to tell us that he couldn't take the pressure. And when we were kids, we just assumed that meant, because we live in a steel town, we believed he must have been a steel worker and had a heart attack. And then, we since learned that wasn't true. And I just remember every Father's Day, we would visit my grandfather's grave. My dad would go there and, trim the weeds, plant flowers. And he couldn't usually, I remember the one time he got his brother and my cousins to come along to visit the grave. It was like a big emotional thing. And, we were just kids, so I didn't understand. I would really like to know the truth about my grandfather, what happened, and how different my dad's life would have been if he'd have lived.
Big shout out to that. Robert Wagner from the Little Wretches. That is our fast round right there. Thank you so much.
Oh, man, I got
brother.
so heavy, though. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I love it. They love it. We're good. So Robert Wagner, The Little Wretches album is out right now. I got you guys. If you guys didn't see it, it's on the link. It's on YouTube now. It's on Facebook and it's on Twitch. That's everywhere we're streaming from right now. Live at the Mattress Factory. Songs from the land of pit bulls and poker machines. You can go to Little Wretches, thelittlewretches.com, and get more information. Follow them all over the place. I did see you got an Instagram. I don't know how that's going for you.
I don't do anything on Instagram. Everybody tells you you're supposed to be on all the platforms.
No, that's tiring.
Yeah, man. And then I see some of the podcasters, and they'll have like 10 different links, and I'm like, oh my, I can't. I just make this stuff. Try to write the songs, try to record it, and perform. And that's really what my focus is right now, is getting back out there and performing live. There's so much of what you do when you're an entertainer can be like canned and prepared for. But for me, like I'll have little bits, even in this conversation we've had, there are words that have come out of my mouth that I've said before, but I like that feeling of being in front of people who never heard me, who don't know me, don't really know what to expect, and connecting with them.
Yeah.
You asked in that question round, there was something about magic, and that connecting with strangers over, an experience that is in one of the songs. That's like a magical thing.
So
or
I
getting
got,
it's like this thing that'll happen, man. It's like you'll be in a place where you're not like the feature attraction, and you're looking out there, and there's people with their drinks, and they're going about their business, and then you start to play, and you just kind of like, okay, they're not ready for this, but here it comes, and then you'll just see all of a sudden everybody turns around and looks at the stage, like, yep, did it again, ta-da!
lovely. So I got a friend from Chicago, Edwina. She says, thank you, Robert, for being here. And Nick's out of the UK says, thank you, Robert. Even if I only caught a little bit of tail in the chat, I stood along. And a lot of people have said so many comments. Lori, I forget where Lori is from. She loves the fact that you would name your boat the Unsinkable. And agrees with you on the dairy farm being one of those smelliest places. But my show has always been this dedication to the unsigned artists. And you have an extreme discography. The extreme discography doesn't come from giving up. It comes from...
Yeah, but can I chime in here, man?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. When we started out, that was the dream of getting signed, and he even, these
But wait. Hold up. My thing, and I'm not cutting you off, and I know you're not versing me.
Yeah.
My question is to you, what would you tell these startups, people who are about to give up, people who are about to throw the towel? What would you tell them? What would be your advice for especially somebody who is in Pennsylvania? You're a legend. All right, let's get that right. So all this stuff about, I'm not a singer and all that. Yeah, well, you can pack up the place. What would you tell?
Okay, I hear
what would
what
you tell? Where would you tell these artists that are coming up as a long career that you have had?
Well, I mean, the world has changed. You don't need to be signed anymore. That's you can make deals, you can make alliances, you can work with people, but you got to do the work. You can't wait for somebody else to do it for you. Like I've known what the difference between me and a lot of the people that started out when I did is like they were making demos that were somebody else was going to put out. Like, nah, man. We're making it, we're putting it out, and once we recoup our investment, it's 100% profit. I mean, there was somebody gave me a book a while back. I think it was called Dreaming Out Loud, and it's the truth about these country music stars. And there was a guy who had like a #1 hit. I forget which artist it was, but he basically made $40,000. I was like, oh, hey man, I could have made $40,000 driving a truck, but I'd rather be a country music star.
Yeah.
If you're waiting for the right situation to arise, the right situation might never arise. You got to get to work. And this is biblical. Put your shoulder to the plow and don't look back. Do the work. And the thing is if you have any quit in you at all, then don't even start. Because what's the point? One of the songs, I think it's the last song on the CD. It's called "May You Never Be the Child of a Realist." And it's funny because I'm in my sister's house right now, and her daughter is here. And one time our band was rehearsing, and we gave her a little harmonica. And it's like, wow, she's actually playing in time with us. She's got a little bit of musical talent. And so when we take a break, one of the people in the band says, "Oh, Ashley, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And Ashley says, "Well, I want to be a singer, but I'm going to go to beauty school so I have something to fall back on." Like, who put that idea in your head, have something to fall back on? If you give yourself something to fall back on, you will fall back. Don't, man, no safety net. Go for it with everything you got. And you might not end up where you intended to go, but you're going to go somewhere. If you're waiting for the right circumstances to arise, at least that's the way I do it anyhow, is do the work. Just do the work. And, another guy who's really kind of an inspiration, his most famous book was called On the Road, Jack Kerouac. Jack Kerouac had written 7 novels before On the Road was published. And he was known he was a legend among other writers.
Okay.
But hadn't been published. And man, the confidence and belief he must have had to keep not just one novel, not just 2, 7 novels he'd written before the first one finally gets published. And and now he's part of the fabric of American culture. So just do the work. People don't make excuses. You got to find your thing. And sometimes treading water is not a bad thing to do. Sometimes it feels like you're spinning your wheels or you're not going anywhere. Whatever you do, don't quit. You got to find what you're good at and then get better at it. Be better tomorrow than you are today.
Nice. Big shout out to everybody listening. Robert Wagner from the Little Wretches. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. And as promised, I will do the backwards. This is the 6th song of The Remains of Joe Magarac. And I will definitely talk to you soon. You don't have to stay on with us if you don't want to. I do appreciate the time that you took to talk to us and bringing us back with a lot of history. I didn't want to come and fill your ears with the comparisons that you normally hear. I wanted you to know you be in the gym. You know how it is when you focused on the music and you play repeat and you need to hear it again. You guys got a classic here, and I do appreciate especially the timing of this when we're all going back to some concerts soon. And I hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much, Rob.
Oh, Dave, thank you. I look forward to this all day. Wasn't sure what to expect. This was great. You got a good thing going.
Oh man, thanks so much. I
The
tried.
remains of Joe Magarac's nephew in a casket shaped like a barge parades through the streets of the river town with a shockingly small entourage. A weeping contingent of sobbing old Union men dutifully follow behind as he's stoically dumped in the community pit with a liberal spade full of lime. He's stoically dumped in the community pit with a liberal spade full of lime. Joe Magarac's son-in-law's cousin takes a staple gun and posters the town and offers reward for any information. Where have our union jobs gone? On the overnight shift at the Unimart, she makes a quarter above minimum wage. I think I can, God damn it, yes I can. So would you if you had bills to pay. I think I can, God damn it, yes I can. So would you if you had bills to pay. Joe Magarac's school teacher's grandson spent 6 years in the federal pen. He could have gone free without serving time, but a man shouldn't rat out his friends. He maintains he was only a businessman, like any other businessman. 6 years he grieves. I think I can, God damn it, yes I can. So would you if you did business with thieves. I think I can, God damn it, yes I can. So would you if you did business with thieves. Joe's barber's granddaughter's adopted son raises pit bulls in the garage. They're the cutest, friendliest, sweet little pups. They're the playfulest, loyalest dogs. Then he fights them for a wager in a blood-spattered alley. They live to fight, it's part of their breed. I think I can, you ought to see him go. You want to talk about a will to succeed. It's no worse than any other sport. People pay to see prize fighters bleed. Go ask the riders undercover. Hey, detectives, go detect. Ask the cop who made the bust. Ask the judge who rigged the trial. Ask the DA who he's trying to protect. Someone's getting rich from the drugs and the murder. Someone's getting rich from the war. You have any questions, better keep them to yourself. What you drag my name into this for? Want answers? Go follow the money trail. We won't be seeing you around here no more. Joe Magarac never had to pay for a drink in this town. He never paid for a meal. Joe Magarac didn't need no college or goddamn books. He was born to make steel. Now he's rushing to the store in the middle of the night for detergent and diapers, oh no. You're 80 cents short. Come on, lend me 80 cents. It's only 80 cents, come on. Sorry, Joe. You're 80 cents short. Come on, lend me 80 cents. It's only 80 cents, come on. Sorry, Joe.
They should never gave this dude a mic.
Here we go!
He's killing it. Watch out. He's showing love and he's mad about it. Madluh. That's why we say,
Come on, man, you already know.
Madluh.